Imagine you're holding onto a rope, gripping it tightly. Your hands start to ache, your fingers burn, but you refuse to let go. Why? Because letting go feels like losing, like giving up, like falling into the unknown. But what if I told you that true peace, true freedom, only comes when you finally release the rope? Buddhism and modern psychology both teach us that attachment is the root of suffering. We cling to people, outcomes, ideas, even versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. And yet we wonder why we feel so restless, anxious, or stuck. In this video, we're going to explore what it really means to let go, why it's so hard, and how understanding both Buddhist philosophy and psychology can help you find true peace. By the end of this, you might just see life and yourself in a whole new way. Let's be honest, we don't like change. We love the illusion of control. We want life to go a certain way, relationships to last forever, and happiness to be permanent. But life doesn't work that way. According to Buddhism, impermanence is the nature of everything. Your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, even your identity, they are all constantly shifting. And yet we resist this truth with everything we have. Psychologists call this loss aversion. Our brain is wired to avoid loss more than it seeks gain. That's why it's so hard to walk away from toxic relationships, old dreams, or past versions of ourselves. Even if something is hurting us, we hold on because the fear of losing feels bigger than the possibility of peace. Sound familiar? Think about the last time you stayed in a situation longer than you should have. Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or even just an old belief about yourself. Deep down, you knew it wasn't right anymore, but still you held on. Why? Because letting go feels like stepping into the unknown. But here's the truth. The tighter you hold on to something that's already slipping away, the more it hurts. And that brings us to one of Buddhism's most powerful lessons. Buddhism teaches that suffering is not caused by pain itself, but by our attachment to things that are impermanent, whether that's relationships, material possessions, or even our own identity. At the heart of this philosophy is a simple yet profound truth. Nothing lasts forever. This can feel unsettling at first. We want things to be predictable. We want love to last, our achievements to define us, and happiness to be permanent. But Buddhism challenges us to ask, what happens when we cling to things that are bound to change? How much suffering do we create by resisting the natural flow of life? One of the most famous Buddhist teachings about letting go is the parable of the raft. Imagine you are standing on one side of a river. The other side represents peace, wisdom, and freedom. To cross the river, you build a raft. You gather wood, tie it together, and paddle across. Now, once you reach the other side, what do you do with the raft? Would you carry it on your back for the rest of your journey just because it helped you once? Of course not. The raft served its purpose. It got you across the river. Now it's time to let it go. But in life, we often refuse to put down the raft. We hold on to old beliefs even when they no longer serve us. We cling to past relationships even when they bring us more pain than joy. We carry our regrets and mistakes even when they prevent us from moving forward. This parable teaches us that letting go is not about forgetting or denying our past. It's about recognizing that what once served us may not serve us forever. Holding on to something after its time has passed only weighs us down. So the question is, what are you still carrying that you no longer need? Next, in Buddhism, there is a concept called tanha, which means craving or attachment. It's the idea that most of our suffering comes from our desire to hold on to things, whether it's people, success, youth, or even control over the future. Think about the last time you suffered emotionally. Chances are, at the core of that pain was a sense of loss or fear of change. Maybe you lost a relationship and it hurt because you wanted it to last forever. You failed at something and it hurt because you wanted success to be guaranteed. You worried about the future and it hurt because you wanted certainty. Buddhism teaches that the more we attach to these expectations, the more we suffer. Instead of clinging, we must learn to accept life as it comes and goes, like waves in the ocean. There's another well-known Buddhist story that illustrates the power of letting go. Two monks were traveling together when they came across a woman standing by a river. She needed help crossing, but in their tradition, monks were forbidden from touching women. Without hesitation, the older monk picked her up and carried her across the river. The younger monk was shocked. They continued walking, and for hours the younger monk couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Finally he said, "Brother, we are not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The older monk calmly replied, "I put her down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" This story reveals a deep truth. Most of our suffering comes from what we refuse to let go of. We hold on to resentment, guilt, and anger long after the moment has passed. We replay painful experiences in our minds, refusing to release them. But the burden isn't in the event itself. It's in our attachment to the memory of it. So ask yourself, what are you still carrying that you should have put down long ago? A common misunderstanding is that letting go means not caring, but that's not true. Indifference says, "I don't care what happens." Detachment says, "I care, but I don't cling." Letting go doesn't mean we stop loving, dreaming, or working toward goals. It simply means we release the illusion that we can control everything. We can love someone deeply, but we cannot force them to stay. We can work toward success, but we cannot guarantee a perfect outcome. We can cherish good moments, but we cannot stop time from moving forward. True peace comes when we learn to fully experience life without being imprisoned by our expectations. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent. Our emotions, our experiences, even our sense of self. This isn't meant to be depressing, it's meant to be freeing. Imagine if you could enjoy relationships without fearing their end. Pursue your goals without being crushed by failure. Move through life without being weighed down by the past. This is the wisdom of letting go. It's not about losing, it's about gaining freedom. Here is the key takeaway. What can you let go of today? Let's pause for a moment and reflect. What expectations, beliefs, or regrets are you still carrying? What would your life look like if you put them down? How much lighter would you feel? Buddhism and psychology both agree. Letting go is the key to peace. It's not something that happens overnight, but the more we practice releasing what no longer serves us, the freer we become. And sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is simply let go. This may sound simple, but why is it so difficult? Why do we hold on to past hurts, regrets, and expectations, even when they cause us suffering? The answer lies deep within human psychology. Our minds are wired to cling to memories, identities, relationships, and even pain. This isn't just an emotional habit, it's part of how our brains work. But if we understand why we hold on, we can learn how to let go. Let's break it down. 1. The brain's need for certainty. The first reason we struggle to let go is because of a psychological principle called cognitive closure, our brain's desire for certainty and control. The brain loves predictability because it makes us feel safe. Even if something is painful, if it's familiar, we may subconsciously choose to hold on to it rather than face the unknown. For example, staying in a toxic relationship because at least you know what to expect. Replaying past mistakes because the idea of moving forward feels uncertain. Holding on to old grudges because forgiving means losing a sense of justice. The brain says, even though this isn't good for me, at least I understand it. But real freedom comes when we choose growth over comfort. You are probably thinking, how do I overcome this? When you notice yourself holding on to something painful, ask, am I keeping this because it's good for me or just because it's familiar? Remind yourself, letting go is not losing control, it's choosing freedom. 2. The emotional attachment trap. Another major reason we struggle to let go is emotional attachment. Psychologists explain that our brains form deep emotional bonds to people, experiences, and even ideas. These attachments become part of our identity. A relationship is not just a relationship, it's part of who we are. A dream job is not just a job, it's our purpose. A past mistake is not just a mistake, it's a story we tell ourselves about our worth. So when we let go of something, we often feel like we're losing a part of ourselves. This is why breakups, career changes, and even shifting beliefs can feel so painful. Our brain interprets them as a loss of identity. So how to overcome this? Instead of seeing letting go as losing a part of yourself, reframe it as making space for something new. Ask yourself, Who am I without this attachment? What else is possible for me? Recognize that you are not your attachments. You are much more than that. The power of the ego. Why we resist change. Your ego plays a huge role in why you struggle to let go. The ego is the part of your mind that creates your self-image. It loves to define you by your successes and failures, your relationships, your beliefs and opinions. The problem? The ego hates change because it threatens its sense of identity. If you've always seen yourself as a victim, your ego resists letting go of past pain because it would mean rewriting your story. If you've always been the responsible one, your ego resists delegating tasks because it challenges how you define yourself. If you've always believed a certain idea, your ego resists questioning it because it feels like a personal attack. This is why people cling to old grudges, toxic patterns, and outdated beliefs, because letting go would mean changing who they think they are. Here is how to overcome this. Instead of fighting your ego, recognize it. This is just my ego resisting change. Shift your self-image to be more flexible. Instead of saying, I am this kind of person, say, I am someone who is always growing. Let go of the need to be right or in control. It's just your ego talking. The dopamine loop. Why we relive the past. One of the most fascinating reasons we struggle to let go comes from neuroscience. Your brain is designed to replay past experiences, especially emotional ones. Why? Because every time you think about a memory, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that makes you crave sugar, social media, or gambling. Yes, even negative memories can trigger dopamine rewards. For example, replaying an argument releases dopamine, making you subconsciously crave rethinking it. Dwelling on regret triggers the brain's learning centers, keeping you stuck in self-criticism. Holding on to anger gives you a rush of energy, making it feel rewarding even if it's destructive. This is why letting go can feel unnatural at first. Your brain has been trained to keep replaying certain emotions. This is how to overcome this. When you catch yourself replaying the past, interrupt the cycle. Shift your focus to the present moment. Ask yourself, does thinking about this help me, or is my brain just stuck in a loop? Practice mindfulness. Redirect your attention away from the past and into the now. 5. The fear of emptiness. What comes after letting go? Many people unconsciously resist letting go because they fear what comes next. Imagine you're holding onto a rope that's tied to a heavy rock. You know it's weighing you down. You know you should let go. But what happens when you do? What if there's nothing on the other side? This fear of emptiness is why many people stay in bad relationships, cling to old identities, and avoid change. The unknown feels scarier than the familiar pain. Here is how to overcome this. Instead of fearing emptiness, see it as a possibility. When you let go, you don't lose. You gain space for something new. Trust that life will fill that space in ways you can't yet see. Letting go is a skill, not a one-time event. Psychology teaches us that letting go is not about being cold, emotionless, or indifferent. It's about choosing freedom over attachment. Your brain will resist. That's normal. Your ego will fight it. That's normal. Your mind will want to replay the past. That's normal. But each time you practice observing, releasing, and trusting, you rewire your brain. And slowly letting go becomes easier, lighter, and more natural. Because at the end of the day, holding on weighs you down. And when you let go, you finally create space to move forward. So how do you practice letting go? Letting go is not just a mindset, it's a skill. And like any skill, it takes practice. The good news? You don't have to renounce all your attachments overnight or move to a monastery in the mountains. Instead, you can start with small, daily practices that train your mind to release what no longer serves you. Here are 5 powerful ways to practice letting go in everyday life. 1. Mindfulness, observing, not clinging. The first step to letting go is awareness. You can't release what you don't recognize you're holding on to. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness means observing your thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. Instead of reacting instantly, you step back and just watch. For example, you feel anger when someone insults you. Instead of holding on to resentment, you observe, I notice anger arising in me. You feel anxious about the future. Instead of spiraling into worry, you tell yourself, here is anxiety. It will pass. You feel sadness after a breakup. Instead of clinging to the past, you acknowledge, this feeling is here, but it's not permanent. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is like a passing cloud. Thoughts, emotions, and even pain. They come and go, but they are not you. When you practice mindfulness, you train yourself to let feelings rise and fall without gripping onto them. You let them move through you rather than letting them define you. Try this. The next time a negative emotion arises, instead of reacting, take 3 deep breaths and simply observe it. Name the emotion, not as I am sad, but as there is sadness. Watch it as if you're watching a cloud move across the sky. When you do this, you stop identifying with your emotions and they lose their power over you. 2. Non-attachment. Let things be. A major reason we struggle to let go is because we mistake attachment for love, control for security, and expectations for happiness. But here's the truth. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. Imagine holding a butterfly. If you grip it too tightly, you crush it. But if you hold it gently, it stays in your hand. This is the mindset of non-attachment. You can still love deeply without controlling the person. Work hard without basing your self-worth on success. Have goals without being devastated if things don't go as planned. Try this. When something frustrates you, pause and ask, am I suffering because of the event itself, or because I am attached to how I want it to be? Practice loosening your grip. Mentally tell yourself, I release my need to control this outcome. This simple shift can bring instant peace. 3. The letting go ritual. A physical release. Sometimes we need a symbolic action to fully let go of something. That's why many spiritual traditions have rituals of release. Burning, writing, or physically discarding objects as a way of emotionally letting go. You can do this too. Try this. Write down what you need to release. An old regret, an expectation, or a painful memory. Read it out loud and acknowledge it. Say, thank you for teaching me, but I no longer need to carry you. Destroy the paper. Burn it safely, rip it, or throw it away. This simple act tells your subconscious mind, I am choosing to release this now. It may sound simple, but rituals work because they give your mind a sense of closure. The power of breath. Let go with every exhale. One of the easiest and fastest ways to practice letting go is through your breath. Buddhism and psychology both teach that our emotions are deeply connected to how we breathe. When we're anxious, we breathe shallow and fast. When we're at peace, our breathing is deep and slow. You can use your breath as a tool for release. Try this. Breathe in deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. As you exhale, mentally say, I release. This is called physiological sighing, and studies show it instantly lowers stress and helps the nervous system let go of tension. The best part? You can do this anywhere. Before a big meeting, after an argument, or anytime you feel overwhelmed. 5. Embracing impermanence. The final key to letting go. One of the biggest reasons we struggle to let go is because we resist change. We wish things could stay the same. But the truth is, everything in life is temporary. Seasons change. People change. You change. Instead of fearing this, what if you saw it as beautiful? The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi teaches that there is beauty in imperfection and impermanence. A cracked bowl, an aging face, a leaf falling from a tree, all remind us that life is precious because it's fleeting. Try this. The next time something changes in your life, instead of resisting, say, this too is part of life's flow. Start seeing letting go as an act of trust, trusting that even as things change, you will always be okay. Letting go is not a one-time decision. It's something we must practice daily, in small moments, in big life transitions, in relationships, and within ourselves. The more you practice, the lighter you will feel. So ask yourself, what is one thing you can let go of today? It could be as simple as, letting go of the need to be right in an argument, letting go of self-criticism for not being perfect, letting go of the past so you can fully live in the present. The more we let go, the more we open ourselves up to peace, freedom, and joy. And in the end, that's what life is really about. You may be asking why this matters. In today's world, we are constantly pressured to hold on to everything: our image, our status, our plans, even our pain. We fear missing out. We fear being forgotten. We fear change. But the greatest peace comes when you realize you don't have to carry everything. Imagine if you let go of the need for everything to be perfect. Imagine if you stopped replaying old mistakes. Imagine if you released what's out of your control. How much lighter would you feel? Buddhism and psychology both teach us that letting go isn't about losing. It's about gaining freedom. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from regret, freedom to actually enjoy life as it is, not just as we wish it were. And that's the real art of letting go. If this video helped you shift your perspective, let me know in the comments. What is something you need to let go of? And if you're interested in more content on psychology, philosophy, and self-growth, make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best thing you can do is simply let go. See you in the next video.